Mia lived in a small town by the sea. It was a quiet place. The streets were narrow, the houses were old, and most people knew each other. In the morning, people walked slowly to the market. In the evening, they sat by the windows and watched the sky turn orange. Mia liked this town, but she often felt that her life was too small. She was 22 years old and worked in a little bakery near the bus station. Every day she woke up before sunrise. She put on her apron, tied back her hair, and helped make bread, cakes, and small fruit pies. The bakery smelled sweet and warm, and many people loved coming there. They smiled at Mia and said kind things. But inside, Mia felt restless. She wanted something more, though she did not know exactly what that was. Sometimes she thought about leaving town. She imagined a big city with bright lights, tall buildings, and crowded streets. She imagined herself wearing a nice coat, walking fast, carrying books, and living a different life. A bigger life. But dreaming was easy. Leaving was hard. Her mother was not strong. Since Mia's father had died 5 years earlier, Mia had stayed close to home. She helped with rent. She bought medicine. She cooked dinner when her mother was tired. She did not complain. She loved her mother deeply. Still, at night, when the world was quiet, Mia sometimes stood by the window and whispered to herself. One day she would go. One day she would begin again. One rainy afternoon in early autumn, something small happened. And that small thing changed everything. That day, the sky was gray from morning to evening. Rain fell in long, cold lines. The bakery was not busy, and by 4 o'clock the street outside was almost empty. Mia was wiping the front table when she saw an old woman standing in the rain across the road. The woman wore a dark blue coat and held a broken umbrella. One side of it hung down uselessly. She looked around as if she were lost. Mia watched her for a moment. Then she quickly took the bakery's extra umbrella from the back room and ran outside. "Excuse me," Mia called. The woman turned slowly. Rain touched her silver hair. "You can use this," Mia said, holding out the umbrella. The old woman looked surprised. Then she smiled. "That is very kind of you," she said. Her voice was soft but clear. "You looked a little lost," Mia said. "I am," the woman answered, and laughed lightly. "I came to see an old friend, but I think I took the wrong street. My eyes are not as good as they used to be." Mia stepped closer. "What address are you looking for?" The woman took a small piece of paper from her pocket. The ink had become a little blurry from the rain, but Mia could still read it. "Oh," she said. "This street is on the other side of town. It's not very far, but it's not close either." The woman sighed. "Then I truly am lost." Mia looked back at the bakery. Her boss was in the kitchen. There were no customers. She turned to the woman again. "My work ends in 20 minutes, Mia said. "I can walk with you." The old woman looked at her carefully. "Would you really do that?" "Yes," said Mia. "Please wait inside. It's warmer." So the woman came into the bakery and sat by the window. Mia brought her a cup of hot tea and one small apple cake that had cracked on top and could not be sold. "It's not perfect," Mia said with a smile. "Then it is honest," the old woman replied. Mia liked that answer. When her work ended, she put on her coat and walked into the rainy evening with the woman. They shared the umbrella and moved slowly through the wet streets. "My name is Elena," the woman said after a while. "I'm Mia." "That is a lovely name." "Thank you." For a few minutes they walked in silence, listening to the sound of rain on the umbrella. Then Elena asked, "Have you always lived here?" "Yes," Mia said. "My whole life." "And do you like it?" Mia thought for a moment. Yes, she said. Then she added, and no. Elena smiled. That sounds like the truth. Mia laughed softly. It's a good town. Safe, quiet, kind. But sometimes I feel. She looked down at the wet road. I don't know. I feel like I'm waiting for my real life to begin. Elena did not answer right away. Finally, she said, many people feel that way, even when they are already living their real life. Mia frowned a little. What do you mean? I mean, Elena said, we think life begins when something big happens. A new city, a new job, a new love, a perfect moment. But life is not waiting somewhere far away. It is happening now quietly, while we are making tea, walking in the rain, and wondering if something better is still to come. Mia was quiet after that. She did not fully understand Elena's words, but they stayed in her mind. When they reached the address, Elena stopped in front of a small yellow house with green shutters. A warm light shone from the front window. This is it, she said. An older man opened the door before Elena could knock. His face changed at once when he saw her. Elena, he cried. They laughed like children. He took her hands. For a moment, they looked at each other in a way that made Mia feel she was seeing something private and beautiful. Then the man noticed Mia. And who is this? He asked. This, Elena said, turning to Mia, is the reason I made it here tonight. The man invited Mia inside, but she said she should go home. Elena held her hand for a second before she left. Thank you, Elena said. Not only for the umbrella. Mia nodded. I'm glad I could help. Elena looked at her in that careful way again. Don't wait too long, she said gently. Mia wanted to ask what she meant, but the door had already opened wider, and warm voices filled the room. She simply smiled and walked away. That night, Mia could not stop thinking. The rain had ended. The streets were shining under the lamps. The sea was dark and calm in the distance. Don't wait too long. What did that mean? The next week passed like any other. Mia worked. She baked. She cleaned. She carried bread to the front counter and smiled at customers. But something inside her had shifted. She began to notice small things more deeply. The old man who came every Tuesday for cinnamon bread and always bought one extra roll for later. The little boy who pressed his nose to the glass and stared at strawberry tarts. The tired nurse who came in after the night shift and closed her eyes when she tasted warm coffee. Mia had seen these people many times before. But now she saw them differently. Their lives were not big and shining. Still, they were real. Full, human. One evening, Mia sat beside her mother during dinner and asked, "Were you happy when you were young?" Her mother looked surprised. "I was happy sometimes," she said, "and worried sometimes, and tired sometimes." "Why?" "I don't know," Mia said. "I guess I always thought grown-up life would feel more clear." Her mother smiled sadly. "It rarely feels clear." Then she added, "But that doesn't mean it isn't meaningful." Mia looked at her mother's hands. They were older now, thinner than before. Hands that had cooked, cleaned, held, carried, and cared for. Hands that had built a quiet life from many small acts of love. That night, Mia cried a little in bed. Not because she was unhappy, but because something true had touched her. A few days later, she found a note at the bakery. It was written in careful handwriting. "Dear Mia, thank you again for your kindness. My friend and I had a wonderful evening together after many years apart. I hope life brings you courage. Warmly, Elena." There was also a second paper in the envelope. It was a flyer for a one-year baking program in the city. On the front were the words, learn, practice, create, begin. Mia stared at it for a long time. The program started in 2 months. That evening, she read every line 3 times. Classes in bread, cake design, pastry basics, and business skills. It was not a dream about some far, shining life. It was real, clear, possible but frightening. For 3 days, Mia told no one. On the 4th day, she showed the flyer to her mother. Her mother read it quietly. Then she looked up and said, "You want to go?" Mia sat down. "I think I do." "Then go." Mia blinked. "Just like that?" Her mother smiled. "Not just like that. It will be difficult. We will need to plan. We will worry. We may cry. But yes, Mia, go." "What about you?" "I am your mother," she said. "I want you near me." "Of course I do. But I do not want your life to become smaller because of my fear." Mia covered her face with her hands and began to cry. Her mother moved closer and held her. A month later, Mia sent in her application. 2 weeks after that, she was accepted. The day the letter came, the sea was bright under the sun. Mia laughed so loudly that a man walking outside turned to look through the bakery window. Her boss hugged her with flour on his hands. Her mother cried first and then laughed at herself for crying. Life suddenly felt larger, but not in the way Mia had imagined before. It did not become perfect. It did not become easy. There were still bills, worries, and many unknown things. But now she was moving. She was not standing by the window whispering one day. She was living inside that day. On her last evening before leaving town, Mia walked to the sea. The air was cool, and the sky was painted with pink and gold. She sat on a wooden bench and watched the waves. After a few minutes, someone sat beside her. It was Elena. Mia smiled in surprise. "How did you know I would be here?" Elena laughed softly. "I did not. I just hoped." Mia held up the baking school letter. "I'm going." "I know," Elena said. "Your mother told my friend, and my friend told me. Small towns are full of fast news." They both laughed. Then Elena looked out at the sea. "Are you afraid?" she asked. "Yes," Mia said honestly. "Very." "Good." Mia turned. "Good?" "Yes," Elena said. "Fear often walks beside change. It does not always mean stop. Sometimes it means this matters." Mia let out a slow breath. "Elena," she said, "why did you send me that flyer?" The old woman was quiet for a moment. "Because once, when I was young, I waited too long," she said. "I thought I needed the perfect time. I thought I needed to be more sure. Life moved on while I stood still. Later, I learned that courage is often very small. Sometimes it is only filling out a form, buying a ticket, saying yes." Mia looked down at the letter in her hands. "Thank you," she said. Elena nodded. "No. Thank you. You reminded me that kindness can still open doors, even on rainy days." The sun dropped lower. The sea turned silver. After a while, Elena stood up. "Tomorrow is a big day," she said. "You should sleep." Mia smiled. "I probably won't." "That is normal." They hugged goodbye. The next morning, Mia left town with one suitcase, one backpack, and a heart full of fear and hope. As the bus pulled away, she looked out the window at the bakery, the narrow streets, the sea, and the life that had shaped her. She did not feel she was leaving her real life behind. She felt she was carrying it with her. The quiet mornings, the smell of bread, her mother's hands, rain on an umbrella, a stranger's kindness. A sentence spoken at the right time. Do not wait too long. Mia sat back in her seat and watched the road open ahead. For the first time in years, she did not whisper, "One day." She smiled and said, very softly, "Today."